Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Bethany, and today's recipe I'm going to be showing you how to make white Bolognese sauce, also known as Ragu Bianco. This is just like a traditional Ragu Bolognese sauce, but without the tomatoes and a few other simple changes. It is such a delicious sauce. Even without the tomatoes, I'm a very big red sauce fan. So whether you like tomatoes or not, it's phenomenal, and I know you're going to love it. So let's get right into it. All right, so the first step is getting our soffritto prepped. So what I like to do, if you've seen my other Ragu video, I like to use a food processor for this step because I think that the vegetables in the soffritto should not be noticeable in a good Ragu sauce. I like to make sure that it's chopped really nice and small. Make sure it just blends in with the meat. So what I'm doing is using 1 carrot, 1 celery stalk. They're pretty large in size. And then 1 onion. I'm using a red onion. There's no rhyme or reason. I just like using a red onion in Bolognese sauces. You can totally use a yellow or white onion. And I'm just gonna roughly dice everything and place in here. Now I've mentioned this in my other Bolognese sauce, but garlic is not traditional. However, I showed restraint in my other Bolognese video. So I'm gonna add it in this one, but I'm gonna do about 6 large garlic cloves, and we'll just plop those in there. And then what I'm gonna do is just pulse this until it's nice and small, but not pureed. I'm gonna take the stuff off the side so it can get chopped up in there too. Whew. No, I'm like unwell. That was so intense. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just opened that. Probably not a good idea. That onion whacked me right in the face. Someone commented on my last video and they're like, how does the onion not affect you? Oh, believe me, I cry every single time. Okay, that looks good. So now we're gonna take this off and get ready to make our sauce. All right, so to make our Ragu sauce I'm gonna be using a 5.5 quart Dutch oven. You can also just use a regular stainless steel pot. And we're gonna do a trio of meats for this, but our first one is gonna be diced pancetta. I just buy it in this container and it's already finely diced. I like it for that because I don't have to cut it, but you just want 4 ounces of pancetta. I'm gonna put some olive oil in our pot and we'll add our pancetta. And we'll just cook that in the pot until it's nicely browned. We don't really need to worry about this being crispy for texture. It's just going to go in with the rest of the sauce ingredients, but we want to make sure we render that fat. Cook it nice and brown. Ever since I have taken out the meat, my dog Hudson has joined the kitchen. He's just waiting to get probably a piece of that beef. And you don't want the heat too high. You don't want to burn the pancetta, especially if it's diced small like this. But if you can't find pancetta, you can use bacon, or you could swap the pork that we're using later for sausage and kind of help make up a little bit of that flavor that is missing. But bacon is the same. It's just smoked instead of pancetta, which is not smoked. So our pancetta is good to go. It's nice and browned. So now we're gonna add our soffritto. And then I'm gonna salt the vegetables. We always wanna salt in layers. I've mentioned that in other videos, very important. The pancetta has salt, but that's gonna also go into the vegetables, but we wanna make sure that those get a nice pinch of salt for flavor. Okay, so now we're gonna cook the soffritto for just a couple minutes. It's not gonna take long because it's really small pieces, so probably 2 to 3 minutes until it's softened. I've mentioned this in other videos, but a soffritto is just carrot, celery, and onion. It's also known as a mirepoix, and that's just the foundation of flavor in a lot of Italian cooking, in soups and stews and sauces. So our soffritto is looking good. It's definitely softening up in there. And now we're gonna add the rest of our meat. So what I have is 1 pound of ground beef and then 1 pound of ground pork. You can also use sausage in place, but I wanted to keep it traditional. So we're gonna salt this. We got 2 pounds of meat here, so we wanna make sure it has good amount of salt. We'll just break that up with our spoon. Continue to just break it into small pieces. Allow it to cook with the soffritto, with the pancetta. Okay, so our meat is looking good. It is no longer pink, and you can totally brown it a little bit more if you want to, but I like it to be just like that for making this sauce. And now we're going to add 1 cup of a dry white wine. I'm using Pinot Grigio, and I'll cook the wine with the meat for a few minutes. This is gonna really flavor everything so nicely, especially without having those tomatoes. This smells so good. Once the wine goes in, it just transforms any dish and it makes everything smell amazing. Anytime I cook with wine, my whole house smells so good, especially with a sauce that simmers for a little bit. You don't need a candle, just put some sauce on. So once we've cooked that wine for just a few minutes, we're gonna add the rest of our liquids. So we have just 2 cups of either beef broth or chicken broth. I'm gonna use beef broth today. I actually only had 1.5 cups and I filled the rest with water. So I did 1/2 cup of water. That's kind of nice for a Bolognese because some people find that beef broth or chicken stock is too distracting in flavor. So you can just use water, but since we don't have tomatoes, I think stock is good, but it's okay if you wanna use a little bit of water. Then 1/2 cup of whole milk. This is nice for tenderizing the meat while it cooks. We're also going to do just a little bit more milk at the end, just for a little bit of creaminess. I don't think that this sauce needs to be ultra, ultra creamy. It's not like that. It's just supposed to be slightly. Some other things that we're gonna add for flavor. So we have a block of Parmigiano Reggiano. What I'm gonna do, and what I always do for sauces and soups, is I'm gonna take the rind and just cut it right off. I typically have these in my freezer, but I don't, so I had to just take a block out. We'll take this and just put it right into our ragu. That is just gonna infuse such good flavor. So anytime you got a block of parm, take your rind, freeze it in a bag. It's a wonderful addition. It's a great ingredient that a lot of people throw away. And then for a little bit of herb flavor, we're gonna be using some rosemary, and this is not traditional in my tomato-based ragu. That one generally doesn't have herbs, but this one does. So with rosemary, generally I'll just throw it in the pot. I don't care if the leaves come off, but in this case, I just want it there for infusing flavor. So what I'm gonna do is wrap it with some kitchen twine so that those leaves don't come off. And I'll just tie it just so that everything stays together. You can totally use fresh sage or thyme as well. I just think that rosemary goes really well with a lot of Italian dishes, and yeah, I like it for that, but I think sage would be good too. And I like to use fresh sprigs, but if you don't have them, what I would advise you doing rather than putting the herbs in there is if you have a tea bag or anything like that, that could hold the herbs while they just infuse flavor, and then you can remove it at the end. Because we don't really want the pieces of the herbs, we just want the flavor. So we'll put our little mummy wrapped rosemary sprig in there. And then we're gonna do 1/8 of a teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. This is pretty common in a lot of ragu, Bolognese sauces. Just adds a nice depth of flavor. Okay. And then I'm gonna do generous crack of black pepper. All right, and now it's time for this to cook. So with my tomato-based ragu, I generally will have that cooking for 4 to 5 hours, and that's mainly because of the tomatoes. I feel like anytime I'm cooking with tomatoes, I need them to cook down in case they're acidic, to get sweeter, and just to develop more flavor in the sauce. But this one, I'm gonna partially cover and just cook it for 1.5 to 2 hours. Mainly, I just want most of the stock to absorb and really just have those flavors develop. But we don't want the stock to absorb too much, so it's kind of just a nice balance point of not dry, but also not soupy in a way. So we'll let this cook on a low simmer for 1.5 hours. You want to stir it every now and then we'll remove the top at the end and just add a little bit more milk, and then we'll serve it. So our sauce has been simmering for about an hour and 45 minutes, and it's great. It definitely absorbed a little bit too much liquid, but that's an easy fix. You can always add a splash more stock in, but I don't mind. It's actually good for me because we're gonna add a little bit of milk. But first, we're gonna take out our Parmesan rind and our rosemary, and both of those actually broke in half. So we have our rind here. I wanna make sure that I get meat off of it. Sometimes these rinds can just get melty from the cheese and then everything sticks to it. And then our rosemary sprig broke in half too, so I have to find the other head of it. So now we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of milk. And this will just finish off the sauce with a little creamy touch, but also add a little bit of liquid back into the sauce. So we'll let the milk that we just added cook in with the sauce, and then we'll get our pasta going. All right, so I have a saucepan with my cooked pasta in it. I made tagliatelle. I would generally serve a pound of pasta with this much sauce, but I didn't make that much. And one very important ingredient in this is I made sure to save extra pasta water. If you're familiar with my recipes, you'll know this is an ingredient and a very resourceful one when making a pasta like this one, because we'll want those starches to make a really nice creamy sauce. So I'm gonna ladle some of our sauce in here. And I have the heat on a low heat just because I want the cheese to melt with the pasta when I add it. You can also serve this with really any type of pasta, pappardelle. I also like to serve this with the ditalini that I use in my pasta fagioli. I don't know why, I really like a tiny pasta with this type of meat sauce. Then we're gonna serve this with some freshly grated Parmesan Reggiano. I want to toss the pasta, the sauce, and some pasta water together with the cheese so that we can get just a nice combination of the cheese, the sauce. Everything really comes together that way, rather than just serving this with pasta, sauce, and then the cheese. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. Then we'll add a little bit of our pasta water. Don't worry if you add too much, because you can always cook it off. Mix that together. This smells absolutely amazing. I'm very excited to try this. Add a little bit more meat sauce. Making a mess here. That's what we do in the kitchen. Make a mess, making a good meal. A little bit more cheese. You do the cheese, the pasta water is needed. So it's just nice to save extra pasta water because, as I've mentioned in my other ragu video, if you're serving this and it sits in the pot, what typically happens for me is everything dries up. You need the pasta water to revive the pasta and the sauce. So it's nice to just keep that on hand. All right, it's time to taste this. All right, guys, we have Drew here to taste test.
What's up?
Hello.
Hey, hey.
You don't like pasta,
No,
so.
it's terrible. Let's do it. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It's so good.
This is the perfect pasta for that, by the way. I love this pasta.
Oh, the type of pasta.
The type of pasta is perfect.
Yeah.
The flavors are so strong. You know, I love that tomato bolognese.
Me too.
I'm like a red sauce type of person. This has so much flavor packed into it. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly feel like I have always steered away from anything that didn't have tomatoes in it. I don't like Alfredo, but I feel like as a kid I wouldn't have been like, I wouldn't have wanted this. I was just so used to red sauces. And you feel like you're gonna miss out on something by the tomatoes not being there, and you don't. Like, this satisfies completely. It is so flavorful. Just so, I mean, the depth of flavor is just amazing. And if you've had my classic ragu bolognese, then you'll love this and you'll know that flavor that I'm talking about. It's just so good, and the wine has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I don't know how to describe all the different tasting notes, but all I can say is just it's very deep.
Yeah.
There's something there that lingers. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I don't think you missed the tomatoes on this version.
No,
I think
you don't.
It's really, really good.
You don't. No, and that's why I think it's so helpful for people, because I've had so many messages over the years of I can't have tomato, or I'm allergic to tomato, or for a lot of people, I think it gives them indigestion. This is an amazing substitute, and you genuinely don't miss the tomatoes. So it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal, and I'm definitely thinking you could even put this in a lasagna as well.
So you put this like as the sauce in the lasagna?
Yeah, it would be a white lasagna, but it'd be
Oh, it'd be so good
pretty
though.
tasty. So, all right. Well, thanks for tasting. I'm
Thanks for
glad
having
you
me.
approve. Yeah, I definitely like the pasta too. You can go with pappardelle. I didn't talk too much about the pasta, but basically with this sauce, you want a pasta that's going to hold on and catch the sauce. I've mentioned that in other videos. I don't want to repeat myself too many times. But for people who haven't watched those videos, you definitely want a pasta that's going to hold on to the sauce. And so that's why you use a wide noodle like tagliatelle or pappardelle. I just think it doesn't matter. It's like, it goes good with anything. Just not spaghetti. I don't like spaghetti.
You and spaghetti.
I don't like spaghetti. I've had it too much. I was served it too much growing up.
Past trauma.
Love you, Mom. Too much spaghetti. I've never had spaghetti in my house. It's just like, not a spaghetti person.
This is good.
Yeah.
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 This is really, really good.
Delicious. Well, if you've never tried Ragu Bianco, I definitely think it is worth trying. It is phenomenal. And you can throw it in any type of dish. It doesn't have to be just served with pasta. Put it in baked pasta, lasagnas, stuffed shells, anything that would require a red sauce. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks so much for all the support. I think we just passed 80,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. We're so grateful. And as always, I'll catch you in the next recipe, and I'll see you in the comments.